Hi everybody, Tina here with Loving Life's Little Blessings, and this is another favorite item video, and I wanted to talk about our stamp pads. The entire reason I got into Stampin' Up was for stamp pads. I had been slowly getting into some inking. I had started inking around the edges of my scrapbook pages. I did not make cards when I got into Stampin' Up. I didn't really... To be honest, I didn't really understand how to make cards look nice. And I always felt like homemade cards, they're just cheesy looking, and I don't understand it. I don't have the patience for it. And really, it was Wendy who said, you have all the supplies to make cards. Why don't you just make your own cards? And so I was like, I don't know. I can't figure out how to do it. And so I had started inking around the edges of my scrapbook pages, my photo mats and different things. I really loved that look. And so I had all of these. So I had, these little ink pads and these, the color box chalk inks. And I really liked them, but they oftentimes went dry. Very often they went dry because I used them so much. And where I was living, we didn't have a big variety of places to get, especially these color box chalk ones, which I liked better. And I had a favorite color. It was the chestnut roan. I really love that brown. And I could not find a brown that was like that brown, or that was larger in the color box chalk ink. And so I was like, okay. And so I called up a local demonstrator. I just went and I found her and I said, hey, could you come do a workshop at my house? I have some questions about the ink pads. And the reason I even looked into an at-home based business is because I went to Michael's and Joann's, and we had a Beverly's close to me, and I began looking at the larger ink pads, and they were $7.95 to $9.95. And I felt like I'm going to want all the colors. Like, I'm going to want all of these colors, and I'm really going to spend $10 on an ink pad that's going to dry out, and then in 6 months I'm going to have to go buy another ink pad. And so I called her up and she came, and I was very specific. She came to my house to do a little card workshop, and she had all of her stuff, and she came in and she sat down, and I said, I don't want to know anything about any of that stuff. Get it away. Like, get it off my desk. Like, I don't care. I want to know about the ink pads. And so she sat down with me and she answered all my questions about the ink pads. The first thing that I really loved about them is the fact that they open up. When you open them up, your ink is stored upside down. So I really loved that design. They're super easy to open. You just slide it up, and then it's going to come right up. And so it's a super easy design to open, and then your ink pad is always upside down so it stays fresh. The other thing that I loved about it, the idea of getting a re-inker and just being able to re-ink my ink pad, was a fabulous idea to me. So the ink pads cost $5.95, and then for $2.95 you can get a re-inker. And so you basically have a stamp pad for life. I spent about a year and a half building up my collection, and even the ones I got in the very beginning, I still have not had to re-ink them. And so that is fabulous to me, cost-wise. So then I really loved the design of them, and I really loved the idea of being able to get cardstock that matched your ink pads, because I'm a matchy kind of person. I love everything to match. And so the idea that I can get cardstock and ribbon and ink that all matches, and it really takes the guesswork out of it for me, was a fabulous thought. And so I started to get that, and then I also, to ink the edges, because these are larger than what I was used to, I also found that Stampin' Up! Sells these sponge daubers. And I had looked at these previous, but in the store you get 3 of these for $3.95. And with Stampin' Up! You get 12 of them for $10.95. So that was a great find for me as well. And so I thought, well, that's great. I'll get one for each of my colors. I'll label them and I'll keep them. And so on top of the inks, which really truly are my very, very favorite thing from Stampin' Up, I also love the sponge daubers that go with them. And this case is just a cream cheese like Tupperware case. I got it at Big Lots for $1. And it's so you can keep your, did I say cheesecake? I meant cream cheese if I said cheesecake. I don't remember what I said, but it's for your cream cheese, and it's just a container that your cream cheese will go right in it. And so it keeps it airtight. So lots of times I don't even have to put my sponge dauber in my ink because it's airtight, you know, pretty airtight. The ink stays wet on there. And so I just label mine with a label maker and use it that way. And then I use them in my inks. And so that was really a really great find for me. And I found that they really give, these stamp pads give a really great image when you're stamping. And so that's really what made me feel like I could make cards, is I got their ink pads, found out that everything matches, and I had a few stamps, and so I started stamping, and I started putting sentiments inside my cards, and I really started to feel like when you have really great quality items like Stampin' Up, like their paper, like their ink pads, and you can stamp, you can really make a card look really pretty. And I no longer felt like it looked cheesy. And I still, card making is not my favorite thing to do by any means. I'll be the first to say I don't feel like I'm great at it. I try to keep things very simple, very plain, just a lot of one-step stamping, but I do feel like because this product is so wonderful, it makes it super easy. And so I also love the fact that I can get the re-inker, and I can do lots of things with the re-inkers that previously maybe I wouldn't have even thought to do. We have new spritzers where you can fill the spritzer with some of our ink from our re-inkers, and then you can spray and get a look of a kind of like it's sponged, but it's quicker. So there's many things that grabbing these stamp pads and seeing these stamp pads, it really opened up my mind to a lot of different things. So if you have any questions about our ink pads, please feel free to email me. Okay, so thanks guys for coming by and watching my video.